Okay, so I wanted to bring something up in a video because I've brought it up on the subreddit before and it often does not go well. But there is a connection that I've made that I think is really important. So the issue is when you recognize that you're responsible for yourself, for making yourself happy, for taking care of yourself. And this is something a lot of victims of abuse struggle with, particularly if you are a child victim of abuse, because it is deeply unfair um, that someone else could essentially psychologically and physically torture a child or a person, and then for us to kind of turn around and then tell that child or that person later, you're responsible for yourself, and um, it is deeply it feels like the most unfair thing in the whole world. And anytime that anything adjacent to that is brought up, it really like triggers people. And I remember when I was earlier on my healing journey, I, I used to get really mad about it too. Like I get it. um so for example, when it has shown up in the subreddit, for example, around venting and emotional dumping on people, because when you're earlier, I guess, in your healing journey, you're like, I'm the one who needs to vent, and it's not fair that I can't vent to people. And then you get further on in your healing journey, and you're like, no, 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 this is not, it's not okay for people to just dump their stuff on me. Like, I should be able to say no to this. Um, so, what is the connection between this? And particularly, why is it important for boundaries? The connection is once you truly deeply get, like on a like core level, that even though it's not fair, even though it was your fault, that you're still, if you're an adult, not a kid, if you're an adult, you are responsible for yourself, and you're responsible for making yourself happy, and you're responsible for what happens in your life moving forward. When that clicks, then you get that you are not responsible for other people, and you start having really good boundaries. Like I've started having really good boundaries. you when someone is in their feelings, and a normal, not normal, let's say, but more common codependent type response would be to like want to try and fix it, over function, to help regulate other people, how they feel, their experience in life, what's happening with them. But when you get to a point where you go, hey, your feelings are okay, feel what you need to feel, and you don't feel that pull to try and fix it. You can be present without taking it on. It's like a whole new different way of being. Um, this is why a lot of codependent victims of abuse consider themselves empaths, because if you were like a child victim of abuse, you got really good at narrowing in on people's, like micro expressions and tone and posture, and paying attention to how they were feeling emotionally, because that would really impact how they would treat you. And so, as a kid, you kind of start like, oh man, how can I, what can I do here? How can I finesse this so I don't ultimately end up getting hurt? Um, so you try to keep that parent or caregiver from going from like a slightly irritable mood to outright rage and lashing out. And then, as parents do, they make, kids responsible for their own emotional responses, which not okay. um, so if you are in a space where you recognize that people are entitled to their own feelings, that they are in charge of their own experience, that they are the ones that have to kind of like drive their life forward, then you're not the one coming in over functioning, trying to fix it for them. And the only way you can get there is once you recognize that no one can do that for you. And it's like they go hand in hand. And it's um, truly one of the hardest things that a victim of abuse can ever do, because it absolutely feels like the wrongest wrong thing to ever be wrong, you know? But when you get to that point where like, okay, I'm responsible for my emotions, then you go, oh, I'm not responsible for your emotions. So if you have a relationship, for example, um, where you know someone doesn't like you, if you are still kind of like in a I regulate other people's emotions and life experience stage of things, you're gonna try and fix that. And so you'll see a lot of like people pleasing behaviors. Um, but if you get to a point where you're like, oh, you don't like me? Okay, this is not my problem. Like, you know what I mean? I get to choose who I want to spend my time with. I don't like everybody. So of course they would get to decide who they like and who they want to spend their time with. You don't take it personally. And it doesn't become um a verdict on who you are as a person because you already know who you are. Um, so anyway, I thought I'd like throw that out there, see if it helps. I got back into getting really good at boundaries. I used to be really good at them, and then I, that's what abusive relationships often do. They are fundamentally about people having bad boundaries and making you responsible for their emotions, or their life experience, or their actual responses to their own emotions. When you get to that point, we're like, nah, man, that's you. That's not me. And it is woohoo, so freeing. So, anyway, hope y'all are having a great day, and I will see you next time.